Hey, welcome to Review. My name is Dan, and my channel is all about reviewing movies that I think are underrated and I didn't get enough love when they came out. I will also review new movies occasionally. I thought I'd start out with some of my favorites, and one of my favorites that I like to watch, in fact, I just got done watching it to refresh my memory of it, is a movie that was done in 1990 called Quigley Down Under. And this movie is a Western that actually takes place in Australia. So it's kind of got a little, little twist or whatever you want to say to a western, which is kind of nice. And the movie stars Tom Selleck as Matthew Quigley, Laura San Giacomo as Crazy Cora, and Alan Rickman as Elliot Morrison. And I think this is about a year after he did Die Hard. I don't know if they were filmed at the same time or whatever, but it was released in 1990. So in any case, he plays essentially the same character, although it's not as obviously he's not a businessman. I mean, he is a businessman, but he's not a suit wearing businessman in this. I guess technically he probably is a suit wearing businessman, just a different suit. In any case, he's a money grubbing landowner in this, and he plays a British guy who's living in Australia. But he's no less fantastic in this movie, and even though he is a very similar character to the Hans Gruber character that he plays in Die Hard. His best roles were when he was playing an asshole. We know he's one of those bad guys that he always was great at playing a guy you did not that you love to hate. So Matthew Quigley, Tom Selleck's character, is a through and through good guy. He is a no bones about it good guy. He's not a soapbox good guy. He doesn't give speeches or anything like that. He just does the right thing. This is something that I find very refreshing about this movie. He's unequivocal about what the right thing is. He's super sure of himself, and he has no problem letting people know when they're doing the wrong thing. And it's Tom Selleck plays the role fantastically. He is 100% believable in it, and I think that's one of the things I love about it so much. I also love Laura San Giacomo in this character because she takes a character that is broken and downtrodden, and first of all, she just brings humor to her, but she also has she also makes the character very human. I know some people don't like some of the elements of her character in this movie or the story behind her character. But I actually think it's first of all her part of, in my opinion, part of the reason why her character exists is to show you how awesome a guy Matthew Quigley is, which is also the same reason the Elliot Marston character exists, is to show you what a great guy Matthew Quigley is too. Matthew Quigley really has no arc in this movie, other than a beginning, a middle, and an end. But throughout the entire thing, Matthew Quigley does what Matthew Quigley does. That is, from the beginning of the movie, he makes the decision to defend people who need defending. He does the right thing, and he sees that through to the end. And he makes the bad guy pay. So, and there's like as I said, there's no unambiguousness to his. He's not ambiguous about his role or how he lives his life. None whatsoever. Despite these people around him testing him. So, in fact, I'm sure these are especially the Marsden character force him to demonstrate how good of a guy he is because he's such a terrible person. So let me tell you some facts about the movie. So it was directed by Simon Windsor, and Simon Windsor is not, he's not a prolific director. I mean, he's directed a lot of things, but he's probably best known for Free Willy, and that's probably his greatest success. He also did lots of episodes of the Young Indiana Jones television series, or maybe the TV movies that they did, and the music for this movie was done by Basil Poledouris. And if you follow soundtracks and listen to that kind of music, which I do, he's probably best known, at least to me anyway. He did the original soundtrack to the first two Conan movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And if you haven't heard it or seen those movies, to me, the music alone is worth it to see because the Conan theme is very awesome, very very fitting for Conan. Anyway, he's also done some other things. He did RoboCop, and he also did Starship Troopers. So not super prolific, but he does have some good um, some good work. So, and I actually, this might be my favorite soundtrack that he's done, just because I think he handles the thematic elements in this movie very well, and they do a very good job of pushing the kind of the heroic theme and all that kind of sense. Because this movie, in my opinion, is a very fun movie to watch because. Although there are some difficult scenes in the movie because you got to see some horrible stuff, not anything that's gruesome, just bad stuff. Um, the thematic elements do a good job of theming the characters or theming the events that are happening in the movie. So if you watch the movie, uh, I'd say pay attention to music. I don't think you have a choice. I think you'll notice the music because it does um, accompany the movie very nicely. So it's noticeable, but not in a bad way. So let me just summarize the movie for you real quick. So Matthew Quigley is this American guy, and I'm guessing this movie probably takes place in the 1890s or something like the early 1900s. And he's some kind of sharpshooter. He can shoot from great distances. And Elliot Marsden needs a sharpshooter to take care of a problem he's got. So he's advertised. He's sent out an advertisement to hire somebody to take care of this problem he's got. And Matthew Quigley applies by basically sending this advertisement back to Marston with like 5 bullet holes in it with a note that says 1,200 meters, which I don't care if it's with modern day weapons or back then. That's a um, that's a hell of a shot. So of course he hires him, and so you're introduced to the Quigley character when he's getting off the boat from Australia, and he's granted a fine welcome by Australia right away, as you'll see when you watch the movie. So I'm not gonna. I don't know if you would consider what anything I'm going to say is going to be spoilers, but if you don't want to know the details of the movie, I would say go watch the movie and then come back and watch this review. But because I will, give away major events in the movie. So not that there's spoilers, no surprise ending in Quigley Down Under. This is not M. Night Shyamalan. You don't find out there's aliens or the modern day. This is a good movie. So anyway, right away in the beginning, you're introduced to the crazy Cora character played by Laura Sanji Como, and you realize right away that she's a damaged character. Tom Selleck's character of Quigley has to defend her. Some men have gone into town to pick up some prostitutes, and they're picking her up. I don't know whether she's a prostitute. They don't really ever make that clear, but they're wanting to pick her up, and she's not, but does not want to go with them. So he steps up to defend her honor, and she starts referring to him as Roy. Um, Obviously, maybe a husband or a boyfriend or whatever. And of course, he has no idea who this lady is. So, but right away that something's up with her. She's damaged in some way, but you don't know why. and again, her character will serve to kind of tell you what kind of man Quigley is. So they're all brought to Marsden's ranch, and which takes them 2 days away, and over that course that there's a little montage involved. You not only do you get to know about what they don't know about Australia, but also you as the viewer get to see how wide open and desolate Australia is, and which serves its purpose later because Australia is not a friendly place. Nature it does not treat people well, especially when it's a desert. So, and that comes into play in the story later. You also get to know a little bit more about the crazy Cora character. She obviously is convinced that that's Matthew Quigley is her husband or something like that. Of course, he's not, and she wants to be amorous with him, or and he's not too keen on it. I think he would like some lady company, but not from a lady who doesn't know who, to refer to him by his actual name. So anyway, they get to the ranch, and you're introduced to the Marsden character, and this is when you find out that you can already tell that he's kind of an arrogant asshole. They have a couple scenes that demonstrate that he's keen to kind of show off that he is uh, that he thinks he's pretty badass. He has an interaction with a couple of uh, deserters from the British Army, and he has a unique way to put him into a situation where he can demonstrate to Quigley how badass he thinks he is. And needless to say, if you watch the movie, you'll see that Quigley seems rather unimpressed with his reaction or what he does. He basically sets these men up, so baits them to do something so that he can do exactly what he wants to do. In any case, they end up having dinner, and this is when you find out that Marsden's character, his parents were killed by Aborigines, and so that's when you learn that Marsden has hired the Quigley character to shoot Aborigines. Well, just from what you know, that the Matthew Quigley character is a stand-up guy and is has a gooey moral center. No bones about it. The next thing they show is Quigley throwing Marsden out of his own home because he's obviously not going to shoot Aborigines. In fact, one scene that I really like that they really do to show you what an asshole Elliot Marsden is while they're eating dinner, he actually has an Aborigine as a manservant, and he's dressed up in some kind of manservant attire, and Alan Rickman is so deliciously evil and such a douchebag. He does such a great job. But he beckons the gentleman to go get his cigars, and he brings the cigars open. And of course, Marsden grabs a cigar and goes to bite the end off. And instead of spitting the end of the cigar into his hand or on the table or someplace where it would be convenient for this guy to pick it up, this manservant, he literally just acts like he's not there and just spits it on the floor. Is totally indifference to that guy's existence there. His only is just to pick up after him. And so in fact, I'm sure it's done to make this gentleman's life difficult, securely cementing him as a jerk in this movie that you do not like. And it obviously makes it so that when he gets thrown out his window after he says he wants him to throw, wants Matthew Quigley to shoot Aborigines, you're like, yeah, this guy's getting what he deserves. Well, so after he gets this, the gentleman after Quigley throws Marsden out the window, you're getting ready for this kind of action scene, but it ends up abruptly because the manservant ends up knocking the Quigley character out, probably because he thinks it's going to save his life or treat him, maybe this maybe as far as he knows, Matthew Quigley is no different from the Marsden character, so anyway, he knocks him out, and of course then these guys get together, the Marsden, men, his employees, beat the shit out of him, and Cora, who thinks Matthew Quigley is her husband or whoever, and refers to him as Roy, tries to defend him, and so of course they kind of pile them together, and Marsden tells him to take him out to get rid of him in Australia, and that's really when the adventure begins. And from that point on, you have a bunch of interactions where Marsden keeps sending men after them to find them, and the Quigley character ends up having to rescue Aborigines, even though they're very successful at killing them because Matthew Quigley is only one man, and these guys are on horseback, and of course, but they establish him as a kind of a hero to the Aborigines or whatever. These men on horseback are shooting these people, and then not just they're not just shooting men; they're shooting women and children, and they're throwing. They got sticks and spears and things like that, and it's obviously not a fair fight. Um, so he kind of becomes a in the short span of the movie, we'll say a legendary guy who's taken up for the Aborigines or whatever, and he's obviously just doing the right thing, but he's also kind of forced into this because these men are in the course of looking for them, they come across Aborigines, and I'm sure uh, uh, the Marsden character wants him to kill as many Aborigines as he can because he obviously does not like the Aborigines. So, but it's at this point too that the the Crazy Cora and Quigley character are befriended by some Aborigines, and they basically save their lives. And this is when you find out that also that Crazy Cora is part of the reason why she's crazy. Well, I guess it would be all the reason why she's crazy is that she herself was at the time she thought it was an attack from some Indians when she was married and her husband had gone off hunting, so she was alone with her baby. And some Indians turned up and she was hiding and she was trying to shush the baby. And the baby, of course, started to cry and she ends up smothering the baby. And of course, she's horrified. And of course, and it turns out the Indians were just drunk and, they didn't want to hurt anybody or anything like that in this story. And so, it's obviously a pointless death. I mean, would have been a pointless death anyway. But of course, the husband comes home, is totally disgusted with her, and puts her on a boat to Australia to get rid of her. And of course, this damages her. And the scene where they show her telling the story, you can see the understanding. Well, I wouldn't say the understanding, but the sympathy that Matthew Quigley has for her, and the understanding. You could see that you know he knows what's wrong with her. He feels sorry for her, and he knows that she's been through a lot, and he obviously he's starting to understand her a little bit more. And this is when she starts actually using his name too, calling him Matthew Quigley. um so anyway, they have several interactions like that, and actually I'm going to tell you that Laura San Giacomo has some great lines in this as the crazy character. In fact, I think this is not a comedy by any stretch of your imagination, but there are some really amusing lines, and I think every single one of them is delivered by her. She just does a great job doing it. Um, uh, and it's usually like when you don't even expect it. It's that a line snuck in there that just seems like it comes out of nowhere. So I really enjoy her character a lot because she brings levity to a character that probably shouldn't have. She's kind of reminds me of like when you work in an ER and people that work in ERs have the best sense of humor because they see the worst things. They have to have a good sense of humor. I think that's kind of maybe the crazy Cora character, at least in those moments. So I think part of the thing with her character is that you see Matthew Quigley is in their interactions because of her character. You get to see what an awesome guy Matthew Quigley is. Uh, this movie has one of my favorite scenes, and it might be a little thing to most people, but there's a part where she talks about when her husband leaves her to go on the boat, that she says, when he put me on the boat, he just left, and he never turned around, even he never looked back. And she goes, I know, because that looked, and there's a fantastic scene where you can tell they're starting to have some feelings for one another. He's starting to really, really take care of her, and because he sees that she's a good, um, loving person, she ends up befriending a Aborigine baby, and she can tell she's just longing to be a mother and to not only love but to be loved. And he at this point in the movie, he's left her. He's going to leave her. He's leaving her to go to meet up with Marston and deliver his brand of justice to him. And as he's riding away, she's watching, obviously watching him, and she doesn't expect him to come back because he's going to face up with an army of Marston's men. But in any case, he's riding away on his horse, and he deliberately turns around on his horse, and he doesn't just look back. He turns and like rests his hand like this to take a good long look at her, and they cut back to her, and she's got the greatest smile on her face because to me that's just like a such a great character building scene that is it's I don't know, to me those it's so deliberate and it's such a selfless scene from the Quigley character. He literally only did that for her, because he was listening to her and he knew what she needed and also what she wanted, and he delivered. And it's just a very well done scene. So anyway, he goes to take care of Marston, and again they have some great scenes to show you what a douchebag Marston is. And he tells one of his men to go put his coat on, so that obviously then Quigley will mistake maybe one of his men for Marston and shoot them instead of him. I mean, so he has no value of anybody else's life, of course, but his own. So as you can imagine, the odds are stacked against Quigley, but there are some great. This is a pretty good sequence where you see the cleverness of Matthew Quigley, but obviously against these kind of odds, they got to make some kind of crescendo of an event that's going to happen where you can have a mano event between Elliot Marsden and Matthew Quigley. So ultimately he's captured, and I'll leave it to you to see how he's captured. But I think they handle it pretty well. I mean, obviously Quigley gets the better of him considering he's only one man, but he does get captured, and they drag him to Marsden. And the best part, well, I'm not going to say the best part, but I really like how they complete it because, again, one of the things that the Marsden character fancies himself is a gunslinger. You know, I think part of the reason why he hires Quigley is because he's so fascinated with gunslingers in the Old West. Well, I mean, then it would have been the Old West, but just the cowboys and all that kind of stuff. Billy the Kid and that kind of thing. That kind of justice. And so instead of just outright killing him, and this is one of the things I like about this movie. They make jokes about it, in like Austin Powers, where they deliver the bad guy delivers a rousing speech about him beating the good guy and all that kind of stuff, and then he leaves for the bad guy to get killed. I'm sorry, the good guy to get killed by some mechanism that is totally not even watched by him because he's just going to assume it happens and they can get out of it. And this, it totally 100% makes sense because his character is such a dumbass and such a he's not a dumbass, but he's so arrogant and so keen to show how he's better than him. So he wants a duel, and at first he's going to have him have his rifle, but then he actually gives him one of his pistols, and as you can imagine, you know how it plays out with me telling you. But it's a very satisfying scene, and it's handled very well by Alan Rickman, even in his last shot, with his acting. But and then there's a very satisfying shot too. You'll see a couple interactions in here with the British Army that because when Australia was founded by what convicts or something like that, so the British Army was sent there to, I guess, watch these people or whatever, these Australian. These people that were left there in Australia anyway. So there's two interactions between Quigley that you see between in the beginning of the movie that's entertaining, especially if you're an American, and then at the end of the movie too, because these men are obviously friends. These British soldiers are obviously friends of Marston's character, and they think they're going to finally have their way with him, even though Matthew Quigley has made it through all of these things and he's just killed, got rid of Marston. Um, Quigley now has to face, I don't know, 15 or 20 of these British soldiers, and this is when the story comes full circle, and Matthew is uh, maybe saved by some spiritual forces. I mean, the amount of time it takes a rescue plan to be put together is probably not within the realm of reason, but certainly for the movie it works as a good finish for the movie. And you'll see, I'm not going to tell you what it is. I think it's kind of I think it's kind of neat. I think it's well done, even if it's a little bit hokey or whatever. I still like it. And then at the end of the movie too, you get to see. He has one little almost near brush with death, uh, and actually it's Crazy Cora that probably saves his life at a train station. Or not the train station, at the to get on a new boat, buy a ticket for his way home, and I'm assuming they're going to go together. And then the last scene, you see him and Cora kiss, and of course you're going to assume that they're going to be together happily ever after. So, in my opinion, this is a good Western, and I think I like it because it's got a little twist, with the Australia thing. But I think because the Matthew Quigley character is played with such certainty by Tom Selleck, and of course Laura San Giacomo does a fantastic job. Not only as some comic relief, but also providing some heart and giving Matthew Quigley a reason to show you why he's not just tough, but he's also a um, soft guy. So, and then of course Alan Rickman is always fantastic. I can't think of a movie I've ever really disliked him in. So, let me know what you think. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, what you didn't like, what you did like. Anyway, if you made it this far, thanks for putting up with me. Hopefully, you'll like and follow my channel. I'll have more to come. Thanks.